If I lost everything tomorrow, my team, my brand, my database, all my money, here's exactly what I'd do to grow a real estate agent business in 2026. If you don't know who I am, I started at 19 years old, no money in real estate, no friends, no family, had a rough first 2.5 years to say the least. And then all of a sudden I had 6 months where I did 36 transactions on my own. Now I run a team of almost 40 agents. We're hiring a sales manager. We have our own office. We're opening up a second office and it's grown fast over the last 3 years. Now, if you stay through the entirety of this video, there's 7 moves to be able to help you do this, and I promise it will pay off if you watch through. This is for agents who are stuck and not doing consistent business or just not doing 12 plus deals a year yet. And make sure you save this video so you can come back to it later, because I promise the value is going to be that good. And make sure you stay till the very end, because tip number 7 is one that no one ever recommends. Number 1 is pick one lead source. The biggest mistake every agent makes, including myself in the beginning, is choosing to do multiple lead sources at a time. Every agent wants to have like 3 to 6 lead sources right from the get-go, because they think that that means more business is going to come, and they get distracted with shiny object syndrome and end up looking everywhere. What I do is open houses. This is how I built my business. They're free. They don't literally cost you a single thing. They're fast-paced. They're easy to get to. They're high-intent buyers. It is literally something that where you can meet someone today. This is how I went from doing literally not a deal a month to 36 deals in 6 months, because I did 100 open houses in 100 days. I want you to just think about, if you sat 30 open houses in 30 days, how would you realistically not get at least one deal from it? In year 1, depth is going to beat variety every single time. You're trying to learn how to do this business. Don't make it more hard on yourself. Don't spend more money than you have to when it already costs a lot to get into it in the first. Number 2 is treat open houses like a system, not an event. A lot of agents, they treat it like an event where they bring cookies and they bring drinks, and then at the end of the day, they're like, oh, that wasn't really worth it. But it's because they don't have an actual system that they follow all the way through. Instead, they just hope that people will want to sign in and then hope that they'll want to work with them. That doesn't work. When I did all my open houses, I did not bring cookies, I didn't bring snacks, I didn't bring drinks, I didn't bring fancy marketing. It literally was me and a sign-in sheet, and that was it. What I do is the same script at the door every single time. When they walk in, hey, how'd you find me? The open house signs or Zillow? Helps you with intent, right? And seeing who they are and where they're at in their path. If they just found you from the signs, that probably means they don't have an agent and they're really just getting started. If they're on Zillow, that means that they're probably looking a little more in depth. Maybe they've already looked at some homes. Then you ask, hey, is this a home that you want to live in yourself, or an investment property, or a secondary home, depending on maybe what your market. That will further elaborate on that and really allow for conversation to open up with them right off the bat. You need to be capturing every single contact that comes through this, and the best way to do that is not forcing people to sign in, because people don't want to be followed up with when you force them to sign in. You have to provide some sort of value, and the best way to do that is saying, hey, this house is a 3-bedroom house as you're walking through. Is that something that ideally fits what you're looking for? They're gonna say, no, we actually want a 4-bedroom house because we have 3 kids, or because we need an office. And it's like, okay, cool. Would a 3-bedroom with an office, would that work? Or should we rule that out entirely? And then they'll tell you, this is allowing for you to really start to understand what they're looking for. Sorry, then you could direct them to another house within the same neighborhood, within the same price point, right? And say, hey, is this one the one that you're looking for? And you're showing, you know, the picture of the house, like scrolling through all the pictures on the MLS. Say, yeah, that is, because you've asked all the right questions, right? You know which one will actually stick out to them. And you say, cool, what's your phone number? And you pull up messaging, what's your phone number? I'm going to text this to you right now. Then they'll say, my phone number is blah, 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 blah. You send it, you hear the ding. Now you know you got their phone number, and you provided actual value, unlike every other agent sitting in the open. Then you dial and follow up. Volume on this is the cheat code. There's a reason why I made my team do 850 open houses in 100 days. The more open houses you do, the more buyers and sellers you're naturally going to meet, because they are literal hand raisers walking in saying, hey, I want to do. And just being real with you guys, the money isn't just in the open house, it's also in the follow-up. So you guys have to make sure you're following up with them consistently, and I'll break that down. Number 3 is building a database from day 1. People don't use CRMs in the beginning because they don't want to spend the money on it. You know, usually their brokerage will provide it for free, or you could go find a free one, but people don't track the stuff. Every lead that you meet at the open house or the cold call, every referral that you get, every person from social media, if you meet the random leader, you know, at dinner that says, hey, I may be looking to buy, you save every contact in your. The database over time is the asset, because those people are going to buy over the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and so on. And if you think that you're actually going to remember to follow up with them 12 months from just from them being in your phone while you're trying to meet new people all the time, you're lying to yourself. It's never going to. Your pipeline in 2 years is the list that you build today. Everything you do today is going to transact usually in 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. So you're setting up yourself for future. Number 4 is get get obsessed with a follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up, but no one has an actual system for it. And one of the best lines I've ever heard is you follow up with these people until you die or they die. Like, that is it. What I do is I build a simple, repeatable cadence that you could follow, that you know that you'll actually stick with. One that I do, just real quick and simple, is when a lead comes in, usually they don't like to respond to you right away. So I follow up with them for 10 days, unless they obviously respond, then I don't do that, right? But I follow up with them for 10 days if they don't. Then, if they're still not responding, I follow up with them for once a week for about then after a month, I'll follow up with them about every 2 for another month. And then after that, I just move them to once a month until the end of time, until one of us dies or they buy or sell a home with. Most leads don't die, they're forgotten, and it's because they're not buying or selling right now, so your mind gets off of them, and then the next time you call them, they're gonna say, hey, actually I bought a home already with another agent, it just closed yesterday. The amount of times agents get this phone call is set a sequence that you can follow, so that way you can actually not let a single lead slip through. And if you want more, I have free follow-up cadences on my website that you could go to. And number 5 is putting out content that brings people to you on social. Cold outreach is phenomenal, but really what compounds over the time is people coming inbound to you through. What I do is post consistently to your Instagram, to your TikTok, to your Facebook, whatever it is. Don't post across all of them. That complicates everything too much. Have some type of keyword that can make people hand raise and say, hey, yeah, I want that guide. Send them that free guide. That turns into buyers and sellers over. My personal production today is now driven by inbound buyers and sellers coming through Instagram, to where I don't have to generate or go sit a single open house anymore. I've done thousands of them. I don't have to do a single one. Number 6 is finding a coach or a room or a group of people that are ahead of you, that are doing what you want to do. The fastest way to skip mistakes is to borrow someone else's reps. This was one of the best things I realized. I spent 2.5 years trying to figure it out on my own, thinking I'm smart, I can do this. The second I decided to align myself with the people that I wanted to copy, within 6 months, I was able to change what I was doing with my business, because all of a sudden I was talking to people that are already crushing. I paid for proximity so that way I could grow my business super fast and stop banging my head up against a wall, just because I thought, oh, I can do this on my own. I needed the accountability. I needed people to bounce ideas off of. I needed the actual step-by-steps as to what I should be doing, not just following along, hoping that something would work based on what I read. I'd personally rather buy 2 to 5 years of speed than learn the slow way. And I always think about how my first 3 years of my business, really sucked. In my last 3 years of my business, I've grown to a 40 agent team that's going to do 300 transactions this year. And I'm just 25 years old, and it happened because I'm surrounding myself with the right. Now, number 7 is actually just committing before you're. This is the one that nobody does. Everyone overanalyzes, and you just have to stop and just actually do it before you're ready to do it. When I did the 100 open houses in 100 days, that wasn't something that was comfortable or something that I felt ready for, that I felt like I had the knowledge for. I didn't have a completely step-by-step sequence as to how I do everything at the time. I learned it along the way. A good chunk of being a real estate agent is just jumping in and then figuring stuff out along the way. What I personally do, pick the hard, big, scary number that you're trying to reach, and then announce it to everyone, whether that be Instagram, your social, your circle, your group, whatever you're a part of. Tell them, hey, this is what I'm doing, because no one wants to say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and then mess up. You're going to stick to it, because years 0 to 2.5 for me were a grind that had no breakthrough, because I was trying to always be the super knowledgeable person first. That half-year breakthrough for me came when I decided to commit and just go all in to actually trying to grow my business, whether I was ready for it or not. Now, the 7, just to recap, is pick one lead source and go on. Treat open houses like a system, not a dam. Build a database from day one. Do not rely on just your phone contacts to remember all these people. It's going to cost you so much. Get obsessed with a follow-up cadence. Use what I talked about, or go and find something else that works for you, but get a cadence. Put out content that actually brings people to you, and don't go and post on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. You're going to burn yourself out. One pillar, post and use a keyword that's going to drive people to your DMs to handle. 6 is find a coach or a room ahead of you, so that way you could skip the next 2.5, 3 years that I went through in the beginning of my. And lastly, just actually commit before you're ready. If you do that part alone, will change your life more than honestly everything else in this. If you want the open house system that I mentioned or anything else, I have a guide on everything I just talked about on my website, which is going to be in the description, or just go to, make sure you subscribe, because we're posting weekly content talking about exactly how I built my business from me doing less than a deal a year 3 years ago to running a 300 a unit a year team in 3